he said a lot of that stuff comes out from the fact that there is such a boomerang relationship with the private sector where guys now come in and then they get information and they walk out of the office with it. So that being said, when that was a little tangent right there, but when you see all these guys, whether it be a CIA guy, a Mossad guy or whatever, I'm thinking the same thing you guys do out there, and you're right to think it. It's like, all right, what are they doing here and all that? And you have to think that with Juval. To my knowledge, Juval Aviv, to my knowledge, Juval has never done a major podcast before though. Like Danny called me when he got that one. He was like, you're not going to believe who I got. I'm like, who'd you get? And he said, Juval. And I'm like, Eric Bana from Munich? He's like, yeah. Like, that'll be interesting. So people, some people were giving Danny shit for even talking with him, but I would highly recommend you listen to it because there was one big tell. I don't know if I've ever said this, but there was one big tell that Andy had to me the first few times I ever had him in to record. And this is years ago in my parents' house. My podcasts are extremely free-flowing. That's what we do. And when guests come on now, they know that. And even back then, like a lot of them knew that was my style because I'd discuss it on the phone. And some people, they want more of a plan. And I'd just be like, don't worry about it. And they'd be a little nervous about it. Other people, they'd just go with it. To this day, some people still want the plan. We were getting a text earlier from someone who's like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know. You're great. We'll have fun. And it just always works out. But with Andy, he was cool with that. He was one of the guys like, all right, dude, sounds good. But there was one topic that before episode 97, I remember in my car when I was driving him back from the airport to go record it. And then before episode 107, when he got over to the house, there was one topic that he was obsessed with talking about that he wanted me to ask him about. And I was like, actually, I'm very interested in that. So I did. And that was the movement of the intelligence apparatus from government to the private sector. And what he meant by that is there, especially under Trump term one, but even well before that, there was a big move to where guys would come cut their teeth in CIA, do all this important work, be sitting at their desk at Langley on a Friday, accept a job with fucking, I'll just insert the name of a company here, Lockheed on Friday afternoon, walk out of CIA, hand in their lanyard, walk back in Monday morning, and instead of making $89,000 at CIA, they're now making $689,000 at Lockheed. They're handed the same lanyard and taken to the same desk or one right next to it, fully read in, able to do everything they do, but now they are not listed as an employee of the CIA and therefore of the United States government. They are now listed as a private contractor hired by CIA, which, by the way, when you look at every public figure from president on down in the government, all their salaries, as far as I know, I don't know if it's all the way down, but like it's in the public domain. Like you can know what people make. Is that, am I saying that correctly, Jordy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty positive on that too.
All right. So people would be complaining if they found out like the director of CIA was being paid $9 million.
Right.
They'd be like, our taxpayer money's paying a guy what they're paying the starting fucking small forward on the Sixers? Like, well, maybe not LeBron, but actually LeBron's making less than that now with the Sixers.
You see he's going to take a helicopter to work every day?
He is taking a helicopter to work every day.
Have we not learned, people?
Don't do that, Joey D.
Well, just have we not learned?
I just need one title. I need one title for my Sixers before he goes.
Everyone stop doing that.
But yes, I don't love LeBron taking a helicopter every day.
Sorry to get us off topic.
I forgot he's my small forward now. I'm very excited about that. But anyway, people would not be happy about that. But when it's reported on the sheet that like X number of hundreds of millions of dollars went to, and it lists off a laundry list of stuff, private contracting, contracts for defense, contracts for whatever, you don't see that Y amount of that was used for this $9 million salary for that guy that worked. You see what I mean? It's like you get to hide it in the noise. And so Andy wanted to talk about this a lot, and part of the reason was because, he as a good employee of the United States government or a good spokesman for them, is very worried about intelligence leaks and things like that. He doesn't like Edward Snowden and shit like that, which obviously he and I have disagreed with plenty in the past. He said a lot of that stuff comes out from the fact that there is such a boomerang relationship with the private sector where guys now come in and then they get information and they walk out of the office with it. So that being said, when that was a little tangent right there, but when you see all these guys, whether it be a CIA guy, a Mossad guy, or whatever, I'm thinking the same thing you guys do out there, and you're right to think it. It's like, all right, what are they doing here, and all that, and you have to think that with Juval. To my knowledge, Juval Aviv. To my knowledge, Juval has never done a major podcast before, though. Like Danny called me when he got that one. He's like, "You're not gonna believe who I got." I'm like, "Who'd you get?" And he said, Juval. And I'm like, Eric Bana from Munich? He's like, yeah. Like, that'll be interesting. So people, some people were giving Danny shit for even talking with him, but I would highly recommend you listen to it because there was some serious alpha, including another spot where I feel like if Juval actually even knows anything about this, and I am skeptical on this one, I feel like this is a little bit of coverage right here. Can we play the dead one? Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Do you know he's dead? I'm telling you, he's dead. Period.
Epstein.
And you know for an absolute fact that he's dead?
Absolute fact he's dead.
How do you think he died?
Oh, he was killed.
Oh.
Easy. This I can tell you. He was killed. It was arranged for somebody from the outside to go into his cell and kill him.
Why wouldn't they just have that big jacked gorilla guy who was a cop killer?
No.
Kill him.
No, because he wouldn't do it.
He's referring to the cellmate.
He wouldn't do it. And they needed it to be done professionally. It needed to be done professionally by somebody who is a...
The he wouldn't do it thing, I'm not tracking on. Like, he just repeats it for effect and then tries to move on. I'm not tracking on that. Why? The guy he's referring to was a cop who, fucking dirty cop who murdered, was convicted for it later. Murdered 4 people, executed them, and some drug deal gone bad. The guy was a stone cold killer. He didn't really have a lot to lose in there at the time. He could have done that for sure.
I'm taking it not as he couldn't do it, as in hey guy, I can't do the job for you. I was taking it as him saying he wouldn't be the one to do it. They need one of their guys, whoever they is, and it needs to be professional and clean. That's what I take it as. Maybe,
but don't you? This is where I play devil's advocate. Even though Jeffrey Epstein was the most infamous federal prisoner maybe ever by definitely. The stakes at that time, don't you think it's just cleaner if some psycho that he was next to just fucking kills him?
I think that when we say that and have that thought, we're not at a high enough level. That's not how they think. They know we're gonna think that way, so that's not how they're gonna carry it out.
A little 5D chess.
I mean, I hate to be the guy throwing around 5D chess, but
throw it, Joey.
It's just super high level shit. So that's what we would say, because we think critically and we try to look at these things, and they're like, okay, well, we need to go a step above.
Okay.
Could be wrong.
Let's let it play.
Profession, assassin to come in, do it, and get away, and that's it. And that person doesn't live in America and is not in America anymore.
You know who that person is?
Maybe.
You don't think it's possible that there was any way to extract him from that prison through some secret door?
No. Yeah, the story about those tunnels, those doors, secret doors. Now, this is an old building that they kept the notorious...
He's deflecting right there, because also, to be clear, Andy Bustamante on his show that I went out and did with him on Discovery Channel showed that there is an extra schematic on the cell that he was in that is not listed on the literal Bureau of Prisons schematic of the actual layout itself. That was provably there. There was a full-blown vent that he absolutely, one of two things could happen. You could have switched out his body, or you also could have used it as cover to be able to kill him back in the corner and you can't see it from the window, which we demonstrated on that show. And so for him to like poo-poo, oh, the tunnels, no tunnels. It's a literal air vent area. And then you don't have to get him out in a tunnel. Like the way Andy described how that mission would go, off camera to me, was so eerily simple. Like he was like, oh no, you just do this. As if he was, and I know with his backstory, like there are some things he's remembering just some simple ways that they got guys out of very difficult to get out of places around the world at the agency. And it's like, yeah, I don't buy the poo-pooing. Let's keep it going.
Mafia people that if there was a secret door, believe me, they would have been whisked out of there by their own people. No. This is all good stories that the media is seeking and somebody is out there selling it and the rumors are out there. No, it's too obvious. The man died.
So
he had to die.
Let me play the devil's advocate with you real quick. If I'm Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm going through the shit I'm going through throughout the 2000s and up to 2019, fighting all this stuff, against the most powerful people in the world who obviously want me dead. I'm going to have some sort of a dead man switch, meaning I'm going to have some sort of situation set up where I have somebody who's disconnected from me on the opposite end of the country who has access to the blackmail that knows the second you see that I'm dead, you release it. And you want to let the people know that are threatening you that that's going to happen if they kill you.
Yeah. It's a good
Why
theory.
wouldn't he have that?
Why? Because that's the biggest question that I have. Stupid Epstein. Why didn't you create it?
I don't buy that for
And the answer, my answer to it is, he was so sure that he survived the first attempt of his arrest in Miami, got a slap on the hand, that just it's a question of days that the powers, wherever they are, including the White House and some other places, that they will make sure that they will find a way to release him and just send him out and give him a probation or whatever, or maybe even pardon him and so on. There is a rumor, and I stipulate a rumor, that he was promised that he will be pardoned by the president.
By Trump.
Yeah. And if it's true, it was good enough for him because he believed that Trump should pardon him and would pardon him, that he doesn't have to do anything, just stay there quiet for another few days and in the cell.
Okay,
and the people who...
I love rumors. It's a rumor. I love rumors.
It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy. I don't buy that he's way too sure of a lack of dead man switch. Yeah, he was so sure of himself. Listen, obviously Epstein got that sweetheart deal in 08 that was total bullshit where we've covered it, where he went to the office every day and was still doing his whole thing. But like that doesn't happen. Even that doesn't happen to people like him.
Yeah.
No. There's no way. No way. That because he did get careless. He got very careless in the build up to 05 when that investigation started. He got very, very, very careless with things and was doing things so out in the open that it was impossible for people with basic common sense in the area, including law enforcement, to not see it. You can't tell me that he didn't batten up the hatches a little bit after that whole, fake prison stint and all that. There's no fucking way.
I agree.
So I don't buy that. But Juval Aviv was also directly connected. Let me restate that. He was at the highest level indirectly connected to Epstein and some of the work that he was contracted to do. Let's play that third clip right here. This was interesting.
Explain to the audience how you originally met Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay. I had an office in New York, in London. I had offices all over the world for my business, for the Interfor business.
We do too,
for
Joey
my private
Deef, right?
investigating firm.
We're opening up everywhere, worldwide.
At one point, I had a front store an antique store in the middle of London. That was my office. And the store was a pretext of some stuff that we were involved in.
Oh, wow.
And I was like selling antiques, but I was not selling the antiques.
Right.
And I had real unbelievable antiques that I got. By the way, I wish I sold them. The reason I needed the antique store is because when you have an antique store, you have a warehouse, a big warehouse.
You need
keep
a warehouse.
the merchandise until you bring them to the store.
Right.
That's right.
And in that warehouse, we kept a lot of stuff in concealed concealed components of the antiques furniture. Drawers that nobody knew existed, and there was stuff in it, and so on and so forth. So I'm sitting in my office in a showroom, and I'm thinking about doing some operations. Suddenly I look, and a young, attractive, very attractive girl walks into, start looking around the antique, and I realize she's not really interested in the antique, but she's just walking around pretending she's interested. Then she approached me, and she said, can I talk to you privately, please? And I said, yes. And I had the brownstone. The store was downstairs, and my apartment was upstairs. Apartment and office was upstairs on the second floor. So I go up with her to the second floor, and she says, Mr. Aviv, I know who you are. I know about your background. I would like to hire you. And I said, who are you? She says, I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay, pause it right
You know
there.
my father.
So, would highly recommend you go watch this whole podcast on Danny Jones' show. But essentially, I wanted to kind of lay the espionage groundwork of that one right there with what he said. That's kind of wild. But Ghislaine Maxwell approached Juval Aviv after her father, Robert Maxwell, had died. And to review for people out there who are unfamiliar with this, Robert Maxwell was a major league media honcho around the world, but out of Britain, who was a well-known spy for KGB, MI6, and most notably Mossad. He was a guy who worked in a lot of different places. He was buried 5 days after his death on the Mount of Olives in Israel, which is reserved for the highest heads of state and the highest rabbis. So do with that what you will. I think it's pretty clear like who he mainly worked for. And so his death obviously continues to be a giant mystery. He went and took his yacht out into those, I think the Canary Islands off the coast of West Africa, got up in the middle of the night, maybe to take a piss or something on the back of the boat and drowned. And they say like he committed unaliving himself. I don't believe that. And he left behind, I've covered this many times, but he left behind a roughly $450 million quote unquote pension scam at it was the Daily Mirror, I believe, Deef, but just double check that, and was destitute, which makes no sense, makes absolutely no sense that he would do that. This was a guy with many businesses, and you know, part of the reason I say it makes no sense is because his sons who ran the business with him were later tried in Britain. Wealthy scions later tried for this enormous fraud where all these people lost their money and they were found not guilty, which should tell you a lot. You know, those are the kinds of cases that are usually slam dunk because people want, you know, they want their weight in blood from rich people stealing from them and stuff like that. But Ghislaine Maxwell never believed her father unalived himself, and I actually agree with Ghislaine Maxwell on that. And so Juval Aviv says that he was hired to investigate who killed her father. Obviously, he wasn't quite able to, I guess, determine that to the point that someone could go to court for it. But in doing so, and this is what he describes in that clip, Ghislaine Maxwell specifically told him to not investigate, according to Juval Aviv, Robert Maxwell's connection to Jeffrey Epstein, which is just wild. Robert Maxwell is widely reported to have literally introduced his daughter, Ghislaine, to Jeffrey. Robert Maxwell is a guy that was, you know, again, I told you, he was around the world, but he was shaking hands with people in powerful places all over New York, when he was alive, especially in the 1980s. And, you know, this is a guy who is constantly forgotten about, but is a key center of this story. So I find it fascinating that Ghislaine would go to a guy who is purported to be this legendary Mossad assassin and hire him to figure out who killed her father, when she then picked up the mantle from her father in a way and continued to run, in my estimation, an intelligence-related, multi-intelligence-related blackmail operation with Jeffrey Epstein after her father's death, essentially doing the same kinds of things, I mean that in the broad sense of the word, that her own father did, while looking to investigate the people who killed her father, who were probably among the people she worked for. And in hiring someone to look into this connection was someone who also worked for them at one point and continued to work on a contractual basis for people involved with American intelligence and the American government. Me, of course, referring to Juval Aviv here. Very, very interesting connotations. Again, I think you have to take some of what Juval Aviv says with a grain of salt. I feel like there's some things that he probably talks a big game, and you do have to wonder, just as Danny Jones wonders, like, why is he going on Danny Jones? You know, like, why is he agreeing to do that? But it's very fascinating, the things he said, the things he alleges as it pertains to Epstein, and it just continues to show potentially how wide the reach was with this guy. Like, that's what I worry about, Deef. It's like there's so much noise. You can't possibly keep track of it, whether it's arms dealing, sex trafficking, fucking working with foreign diplomats, working on bioweapons, working on whatever it may be. There's so many layers to it that you can just kind of miss the house for the trees, you know?
Yeah, and then just crush some Instagram reels, order Grubhub.
That's right.
And just forget it all ever happened.
Just forget it all ever happened. Nothing's real. Nothing's real.
Nothing ever happens.
It's absolutely, what you see is not what you see. But I don't know. To be continued on that. We didn't even get to the economic stuff today. We're going to do that next week.
Yeah.
Because that's some good shit. We're living through strange times, people. But that is why yours truly and Joey Deef are here to bring you the analysis as best we can. So thank you, as always, for rocking with us. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and hit the like button on the video. That's apparently like becoming a more and more important thing on YouTube. So I appreciate everyone who's been hitting the thumbs up. And that said, give it a thought, get back to me. Peace. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.